book of Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. All right, so this is the context, Judah and Jerusalem. Verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. All right, so in the midst of the Most High gathering the Israelites as we go to the mountaintop, right, that holy mountain, guess what? The other nations are going to flow and try to cling on to Israel, right? Watch this. Verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways. Talking about the law, statutes, and commandments. And we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So if you're not keeping this law, you ain't going to be on this mountaintop. You ain't going to be on this high hill. You ain't going to be at that holy mountain, right? Verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. All right, so one thing for sure, two things for certain. People going to learn to submit to the God of Israel, right? The God of Jacob, right? Whose name was changed to Israel. You're going to learn to submit and keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, of the God of Israel. That's what it says, right? And also, the law came forth out of Zion, right? Zion is Israel, right? Zion, Jerusalem, Zion. When you are a daughter of Zion, you are of Israel, right? So everybody's going to understand this. There's principles, there's precedents that are set. God is the God of Israel, right? And you as an Israelite, right? You need to get in line. And the rest of the world is going to follow. But there's some things that's going to happen in this kingdom too. Watch this. The book of Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. All right. So this is what's going to happen. The Israelites, who were slaves to all the nations that they were slaves under, are now going to have those same oppressors in the kingdom as their slaves, for handmaids, for bondmen and bondwomen, right? For servants, right? They are going to rule over their oppressors, right? The scripture says that the God of Israel is going to choose Jacob, right? He's going to have mercy on Jacob and choose Israel, right? He's going to put them in their own land. The stranger is going to join to them, right? That doesn't mean salvation for the stranger because, right, here's what's going to happen. They're going to be handmaids. They're going to be in captivity. It literally said they're going to take them captives whose captives they were. That's not salvation, right? That's not salvation, okay? Being in slavery has nothing to do with salvation, right? You will be paid back what you gave to the God of Israel, right? Which is putting his people in torment and destruction, right? The Most High is going to pay you back for that. You will be a slave in the kingdom, right? And the Israelites will rule over you, his chosen people. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. And the Most High thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. All right. So every nation on this planet had their hand in slavery when it comes to the Israelites. Now, it was all fine and dandy when these nations were being built off of the slaves' backs. But now that the Most High wants to put these curses on these other nations, oh, that's not fair. You're taking scriptures out of context. If that's true, your God is racist. All these things. What happened in John 3:16, right? Salvation being for the world and all this, that, and the third, right? Wrong. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 3, right? To back up Deuteronomy 30 and 7, because it's going to explain basically what Deuteronomy 30 and 7 is talking about, right? Watch. It all makes sense. Watch this. This is the book of Genesis chapter 12 and verse 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now, we understand in the context that the Most High was talking to Abraham, right? As a matter of fact, Jacob wasn't even born. Okay, cool, that's fine. But guess what? Jacob, as well as Isaac, right? Isaac being the chosen seed of Abraham, Jacob being the chosen seed of Isaac. This is a continual covenant that goes down the line from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, right? Now, with that being said, when we get down the line, down to Israel, can we name a nation of people that blessed the Israelites? No, we cannot. No, we cannot. As a matter of fact, the Ammonites and the Moabites cannot enter into the kingdom, right? Cannot enter into the house of the Lord, even into their 10th generation, right? Which is 400 years and beyond, because they met you not with bread and water coming out of Egypt, right? And we're going to get that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23. There is not a nation on this planet that showed love to Israel, right? Everybody hated us. So when you go back to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 and you get to verse 7, and it's telling you, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. They had you in slavery, right? It was all fine and dandy. But guess what? I'm going to curse them that cursed you, because now they're going to be your slaves in the kingdom, right? We're going to get all these scriptures, right? Watch this. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 3. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation. Shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever? Forever means forever, right? Verse 4. Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way when ye came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor, of Pethor, of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. See that? Now, the context of that is when you read the book of Numbers, chapter 22, and you'll see how Balak kept trying to get in contact with Balaam so that they can do away with the entire house of Israel, right? Want to destroy the Israelites because they feared what they did to their previous enemies, the Amorites. All right. So now we're going to go to Numbers 22, and we're going to show you a little bit of context of that, right? The context of Deuteronomy 23 as to why they cannot enter, according to verse 3 and verse 4 in Deuteronomy 23, the answer starts in Numbers 22, right? Let's get there. It's the book of Numbers, chapter 22 and verse 1. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab, on this side Jordan by Jericho. And Balak the son of Zippor saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. Verse 3. And Moab was sore afraid of the people because they were many. And Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. All right, so we was fruitful and multiplying. Right? We multiplied. Brothers had multiple wives. Right? Brothers had many children with their one wife. We was multiplying. Right? Verse 4. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, Now shall this company lick up all that are round about us, as the ox licketh up the grass of the field? And Balak the son of Zippor was king of the Moabites at that time. Verse 5, He sent messengers therefore unto Balaam the son of Beor to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I wot that he whom thou blessed is blessed, and he whom thou cursed is cursed. All right, so this peradventure means hypothetically. All right, like, somebody's giving you an example. Like, give you an example, or hypothetically, if I prevail, that, we smite them and we can drive them out of the land. And, anybody that you bless will be blessed. Anybody that you curse will be cursed. See that? So, Balak sought after Balaam to go after the Israelites and destroy them off the face of the earth, because they covered the whole earth, right? And they were too mighty, and they destroyed the Amorites, and so they sought crafty counsel to go against them. So this is what we're talking about. So when you go back to Deuteronomy 23, it explains to you why they cannot enter into the congregation of the Lord forever, even unto the 10th generation, which is 400 years. And it says forever. So even after 400 years, it's still forever. Gone. You're done away with. Right? So Balak, the Amorites, the Moabites, they're already done away with. They're out of the equation of this world that Christ died for. When you go to John 3:16 and it's talking about he loved the world, that's not the literal world. But even if it was the literal world, we can do process of elimination per nation, and we'll see that the Amorites and the Moabites are done away with. Now we're going to deal with the Edomites being done away with. Watch this. The book of Malachi, chapter 1, starting at verse 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, Wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob. Verse 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for dragons of the wilderness. Now, some of y'all going to look at this hate word and say, oh, he doesn't mean he actually hated him. I don't understand where you get that from. If you could show me book, chapter, verse where the word hate is used and it doesn't actually mean hate, I would greatly appreciate that, right? Verse 4. Whereas Edom says, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Right? So they think they about to rebuild the places that the Most High destroyed, right? Because it says he laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. But here they go in verse 4 saying, whereas Edom says we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. All right. So again, this is actual hate, right? Esau, his whole family bloodline, they are of wickedness, the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. All right. So you can't get around this, right? So how can Esau have salvation when he's hated by the Lord? That makes no sense. Now, this is how the Bible harmonizes. Romans chapter 9 and verse 13. As it is written. Now, we just read where it was written at, right? So this is the Romans, the New Testament. And then you go back to Malachi. That's the Old Testament, the last book of the Old Testament, the first chapter of the last book of the Old Testament. Malachi 1. And then here we are in Romans 9 in the New Testament, right? Or what they consider the New Testament, right? As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. The Bible is harmonizing because it said the same thing. Verse 14. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. Right? Verse 15. For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy. All right. So it ain't on you for him to show mercy on you. It ain't on you for him to choose you. He chose you because he chose you. Right. That's dealing with the Most High, and that's what he wants. Now we're going to go back to Malachi. Watch this. This is the book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. All right, so this is the understanding. Ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Right? We were given the law. Right? And we're going to get that too in a minute. Right? We were given the law. Right? The other nations will be consumed. They will be in the fire. The sons of Jacob won't. Okay? That's what this is talking about. He chose us. We are his chosen people. These other nations are going to serve us in the kingdom. And when their time is up, they will be consumed. Point blank, end of story. That's just the scriptures. I didn't write it. It's not about my feelings. It's not about my emotions. I too used to think salvation was for the world. Everybody. Everybody's included. Including the slave master who raped, robbed, and murdered you on the plantation. Okay? But that's just not scripture. That's not reality. This is the book of Psalm chapter 147 verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. All right. So when it says he showeth his word unto Jacob, this is talking about the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? And his judgments. The Most High will have those who are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments written in the book of life. Those are of Israel. They will be in the kingdom, ruling over other nations. Those are the judgments. Those are of Israel. Verse 20. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Right? Also, you can look at the judgments as the curses that he put on us. Nobody on the planet matches the curses of Deuteronomy 28. Right? Nobody but the true Israelites, because it was only given to the Israelites. Right? So his statutes, his word, his laws, and his judgment was not given to nobody else but the Israelites. And so we reap the benefits of these law, statutes, and commandments that we keep when we begin keeping them. And we reap the curses of being disobedient. Right? So no other nation has dealt with this. No other nation has had this. Right? Praise ye the Lord. All right, so let's go back to Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 5 real quick. Right? O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Now, how do you walk in the light of the Lord? Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? Keeping the 10 commandments, keeping dietary law, wearing your fringes. Right? Having the fruit of the Spirit, loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Right? Keeping the feast days. That's how you walk in the light of the Lord. Not being caught up in folly, celebrating Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Mother's Day, Father's Day, right? These things. Memorial Day, St. Patrick's Day, Veterans Day, stupid stuff, right? And there's no disrespect to the soldiers that got out here and fought for this country, right? I'm not spitting in your face. I'm just saying that day that they set up for y'all is, right? It don't got nothing to do with the Bible. Right? Let's keep the days that the Most High prepared. People know when Christmas is, but they don't know when Passover is. They don't know when Atonement is. Right? They don't know when Feast of Dedication is. Right? They don't know what Purim is. Right? But they think they pure, celebrating Mother's Day. Right? Going all out for mommy and do nothing for father. But buying him a pack of t-shirts, some drawers, some socks, and a tie. Right? Go out there and make me some money. Right? So I can spend it. Okay? Let's walk in the light of the Lord. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Period. That's what that's about. Right? Put that bacon down. Right? Put that blunt down. right? Stop watching them girls on the internet twerk they behind, right? That's folly. That's darkness. That's not light, right? You think women gonna be twerking in the kingdom? Man, let's move on. All right, now pay attention, because he called us to be of a hierarchy, a higher status than other nations, right? Deuteronomy 23 and verse 17, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel. It doesn't say of Edom, of Moab, of Midian, of Ishmael, of Ammon. It doesn't say that. It says of the daughters of Israel, right? Nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel, right? It doesn't say of these other nations, right? These other nations do not have, they were not given the law, statutes, and commandments, right? They've already chosen their gods to serve. You know how many gods Egyptians serve? You know how many gods Indian people serve? You know how many gods Asian people serve? Right? Did you know that? He's not talking to these African people, right? Who everybody think that all black people are African. That's wrong, right? These people are serving and praying to their ancestors. They're not praying to the Most High, the God of Israel, right? That's the thing. When it comes to salvation for the world, these other people have to understand that they need to bow down to serve the God of Israel. They're not humble enough to do that. They're not humble enough to do that. So even if salvation was for the world on the table, let's put it on the table and say it is for the world. There's so many people of other nations that are going to counsel themselves out from the gun bus, right? Because there is a rank, a hierarchy that you have to submit to, that they're not willing to submit to. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 40 and verse 15. Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. All right. So these other nations are as a drop from a bucket. You got a full bucket of water and a little drop come out. Is that the end of the world? No. Right. So I don't see how people skip past this scripture right here and then still think salvation is for the world, when the Most High is literally saying that the other nations are as a drop, right, from a bucket. You are as a small dust of a balance, right? The other nations, right? Salvation is not for the world, right? Despite of the word world being in John 3:16. And we are going to get to John 3:16. Trust me. I'm just want to give you guys some understanding and some context, right? All right. Now, going back to the judgment, right? Pay attention to this. The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. See that? He didn't say anything about punishing the other nations for their wrongs. He didn't say nothing about punishing them. Their judgment is in the end, during judgment day, right? And that judgment day is not just 24 hours. That's 1,000 years of judgment on the earth for the other nations, right? Slavery, captivity, death, destruction, explosion. All right. But when it comes to Israel, we are receiving our punishment throughout the earth right now, being cursed, right? We are at the lowest in the financial state. We are a proverb and a byword. We are for a sign and for a wonder. These things, right? That's the judgment, right? And there's also a good judgment that we will have in the kingdom, those who are in the faith, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, following the Messiah, thus saith the Lord. All right. But this is part of the judgment, right? So when we get to verse 3, watch this. Verse 3, can two walk together except they be agreed? Right? So at the end of the day, the Messiah is supposed to be the husbandman to marry the house of Israel. You'll see that in Matthew 25, right? But we cannot walk together except we be agreed. We have to agree on keeping the law, right? We have to agree that we are going to keep the law and we're going to abide by the scriptures and we're going to do what's told of us. Thus saith the Lord. All right. He's not talking to the Egyptians and the Amorites and the Moabites and the Ishmaelites and Midian and all them. He didn't say that. He's not talking to them, right? He's not talking to them. I know you want to John 3:16 it, and we're going to break down this John 3:16 as well. I know you want to John 3:16 it, but that's not talking about the entire world just because it says world, right? I'm going to show you something, right? Let's get Isaiah 45 and 17. Watch this. The book of Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So that's the world that it's talking about, right? There are different kinds of worlds in the scriptures, right? Israel is a world within itself. And that's the world that Christ was talking about that he said he died for, right? This is the book of John chapter 3 and verse 16. All right. It says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. All right. Now, let's pay attention. Before we even deal with verse 16, let's go up a couple verses and deal with verse 14. Right? Now watch this. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Now, when it comes to Moses lifting up the serpent in the wilderness, we now have to get context of what this is talking about and who this was for when the serpent was lifted up in the wilderness, right? So watch this. All right, so when we read the book of Numbers, chapter 21, starting at verse 1, King Arad, he was a Canaanite. He went to war with the Israelites. He put some of them in prison. And they prayed to the Most High that if the Most High would deliver the Canaanites into their hands, that they would utterly destroy them and their cities. They named the place Hormah after that. Now we have verse 4. Watch this. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. Now, when you look at this map, where they have to go from Mount Hor to Edom. Now, keep in mind, this is desert, this is wilderness. It doesn't look that bad on this map, but some of y'all can't walk to the corner store without being out of breath. These people were discouraged because of the way that they walked, right? The way, the journey that they had to go. Not to mention the nations that they got to pass by that they possibly got to go to war with. All right. Now I'm not encouraging or giving a excuse for why Israelites did what they're about to do. I'm just giving you context of why they felt this way and what's going on, right? Verse 5. And the people spake against God and against Moses. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water. And our soul loatheth this light bread. All right. So now they're beginning to murmur and complain, and things ain't going their way, right? Now this is what the Most High does. Watch this. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. Why? Because it was only the people of Israel that were murmuring against the Most High and murmuring against Moses. Now watch this. Verse 7. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. Verse 8. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. Okay? This is your John 3:14 context. Right? Just as Moses lifted the serpent up in the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man be lifted up. So the same way, for the same reason, the serpent was lifted up to heal the people of Israel after they murmured against the Most High, after they went off and went astray and did wrong, is the same way the Messiah will be lifted up for those same people. And that's your world in John 3:16. Right? This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 2 and verse 8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you, for he that touched you touched the apple of his eye. You see that? So his chosen people are Israel. Israel was touched by the nations regarding slavery, regarding mass incarceration, regarding, all kinds of destruction, right? So how can salvation be for the world when the Messiah comes back, he's going to destroy these other nations, right? Now let's keep this in mind. Our people are more concerned about the salvation of other nations than they are of our own. Our people are more concerned about the white man and the Chinese man and the Arabic man receiving salvation more than they're concerned about their own children receiving salvation. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 21. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. Verse 23. But he answered her not a word. Now, why would the Messiah be ignoring people? But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. All right. Verse 24. And it reads, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, this is who you call Jesus. He's saying this. He was not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This means his entire ministry was only dealing with Israel, bringing Israel back to the fold, the lost sheep. Those who went away, went astray into captivity after putting the law behind their back, right? Dealing with Judges, dealing with Nehemiah 9, dealing with First Maccabees, right? So on, all throughout the scriptures, the entire book, they're constantly being put into captivity and dealing with whips and chains and getting their babies thrown in the ocean and alligators eating them, right? Constantly having to be of custom of these other nations, which get them to not even understand who they are, right? And this is why the ministry has to be bought out all over the world, because Israelites are all over the world. This is not for the entire world, right? Watch this. This is the book of John, chapter 15 and verse 18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. Now, wait a minute. He's supposed to have died for the world. So what world is he talking about? Right? Verse 19. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Now, according to John 3:16, he died for the entire world. So I died for the world, and then I chose you out of the world, and the same world I died for hate you because I chose you out of the world. That makes no sense, right? But when we get the understanding that Israel is who he's talking to, Israel is that world in John 3:16. I've chosen Israel as my world out of the actual world, right? The world being dealing with other nations, right? This is not hate speech. This is not taking scriptures out of context. The Bible harmonizes. And if God is the God of Israel and he's chosen Israel to be his chosen people all along, how now then is it up for grabs for other nations, right? So now we're at a point where we're going to be doing process of elimination per nation regarding who can receive salvation and who not. Now, what we're saying all this time is that Israel only. But now I have to show you guys that these other nations can't receive salvation through scripture because of what's going to happen to them. Watch this. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. All right, so this is talking about the Messiah. This was prophesied in the book of Genesis chapter 49, right? And we're going to get there. Let's read. This is the book of Genesis chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Now, this deals with Judah having the kings. Like the kings will come through Judah's bloodline, right? The Messiah, right? All the kings that we read about in the scriptures, they are from Judah. The ones that ruled over Israel, right? Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art going up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? All right, verse 10. The sceptre shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Now, this Shiloh means peace. All right, so it says the word Shiloh is a Hebrew word, a name really that has two meanings attached to it. One is gift from God, the other is peaceful one. All right, so there you go. Shiloh. The Messiah was considered to be the Prince of Peace. So go figure. All right, let's get back to the scriptures. All right, now verse 11, this is what we need right here. Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. Right? Now, his garment is going to be drenched in blood because of what he's going to do to these other nations. Right? So let's get back to Isaiah 63, and it's going to explain itself. Watch this. All right. Isaiah 63, verse 2. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. Now you see that? We just went through that in Genesis 49, verse 11, right? So his garment is if he treaded in the wine fat. That's how much blood is going to be on his garment. That's why it says that it's red in thine apparel, from the blood that he's going to have on him from destroying these nations, right? He's just, now keep in mind, he's coming out of Basra in verse 1, where Edom is, right? Destroying that nation. So how can Esau receive salvation if when the Messiah comes back, he's going to destroy them and have blood all over his garment, right? And that's your Obadiah, where we're going to get there as well. Isaiah 63, verse 3, right? I have trodden thine winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. You see that? So the Messiah, when he comes back, he's going to be angry, and he's going to destroy these people, right? So when it comes to salvation being for the world, Esau is out of the equation, right? Ammon and Moab is out of the equation, according to Deuteronomy 23. So those are three nations so far. We're going to do some more process of elimination. Watch this. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Now you telling me that these people who took crafty counsel against the Most High's chosen people, Israel, they can now receive salvation because Christ died for the whole world, forgiving other nations, for putting us in slavery, for raping, robbing, and murdering us, for trying to take crafty counsel against us and cut us off from being a nation, that Israel will be named no more. They wanted Israel not to even be in existence anymore. They wanted to take the Most High's chosen people right out of his hand. And they can receive salvation? Come on, don't be delusional. Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. You see, like now other nations may not get along with each other, but they have one thing in common. They hate us, the true Israelites, right? God's chosen people, they hate us, right? All the Israelites round about amongst the four corners of the earth, everybody has one thing in common, regardless of what they disagree with, whether it's religion, whether it has to do with natural resources, they hate us. All right. Verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarians, Jabal and Ammon and Amalek and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Selah. Now we know the children of Lot are Ammon and Moab. All right. So again, we went through this with Deuteronomy 23, Numbers 22. All right. So we're doing process of elimination. This is David praying to the Most High not to hold back his wrath and his fury against the other nations that did wrong by Israel. Okay. That did wrong to Israel, that touched the apple of his eye, right? According to Zechariah. You see that? So the Bible is harmonizing. All right. You got all these different scriptures all over the Bible, and all of a sudden John 3:16 just wipes everybody's sins clean, and everybody's, it's a party over here with everybody. That's not true. Right? It's just not. Verse 9, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jaban at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Now, my question is this. How can a nation that's declared as dung for the earth be considered amongst the nations that can receive salvation? Doesn't make sense. Dung for the earth. Right? Doo-doo. Right? And you can receive salvation. That's madness. Verse 11. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah and as Zamunah. Verse 12. Who said, let us take ourselves the houses of God in possession. See that? So they wanted to have the Israelites in possession, right? So since they wanted to be so evil toward us and do so wrong by us, the Most High is going to do something about that. He's going to destroy these people, right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 25 and verse 15. For thus saith the Most High Power of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. All right, now watch this. Verse 16. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. All right, so it's not talking about sending this cup or this sword towards Israel. It's talking about sending it to other nations. Right? Now, this is the God of Israel giving this to Jeremiah. Right? So now how then can Christ come along and say John 3:16 is for the world, and this in Jeremiah 25 is done away with. That's not scripture, right? The Most High and the Messiah, who you call Jesus, they're on one accord, right? Watch this, verse 17. Verse 17, then took I the cup at the Lord's hand, and made all the nations to drink, unto whom the Lord had sent me, to wit Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, and the kings thereof, and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation, an astonishment, and hissing, and a curse, as it is this day. All right, so this cup is going towards those who dealt treacherously with Jerusalem, trying to make them a desolation, an astonishment, a hissing, and a curse. All right, so these are the nations that are responsible for this. Watch this. Verse 19, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants, and his princes, and all his people, and all the mingled people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azah, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod. All right, so all these people are about to receive this cup, right? And this cup ain't nothing good. This is a cup with bitter liquid for these nations, because they about to be destroyed. Thus saith the Lord. This is what he gave to Jeremiah, right? It's more. Watch this. Verse 21, Edom and Moab and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of the isles which are beyond the sea. All of these nations, they're about to receive this cup, right? This cup comes with a symbol of destruction for them. That is their judgment on Judgment Day. So for 1,000+ years, these nations that are being mentioned in Jeremiah 25, same nations that were mentioned in Psalm 83, they are going to be destroyed, right? It's going to continue. Watch this. Dedan and Tema and Buz and all that are in the utmost corners, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert. See that? All these Arabic nations, all these people of Arabia, the countries that are round about, the Islamics, the Muslims, these people will also receive this cup, and they will be destroyed. You have to think about the sub-Saharan slave trade and what they did to the Israelites during that time. Nasty work. Verse 25, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world, see that, which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Sheshach shall drink after them. All right, you seen it, you heard it. I'm sure y'all reading along. Y'all see that word world in there, right? With all the kingdoms of the earth, right? Now, what is John 3:16 for? Israel, right? Verse 27, therefore thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, drink ye and be drunken, and spew and fall and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. All right, so these other nations, all these nations that were mentioned in Jeremiah 25, when we started at verse 15, all these nations will drink of this cup, right? Which the sword is attached to this cup, and they will fall and rise no more because of what they have done to Israel. Now, how then can they be saved in receiving salvation? Right? This is the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. All right. So all of the ungodly will be purged out of Israel, right? The deliverer is going to come out of Zion, and Israel will be saved, right? It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 28. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine. Also his heavens shall drop down dew. All right, so these other nations were able to prosper behind us being slaves, right? We built and created things for them for free labor, right? Our inventions, all of our help, right? Free labor. You know what I mean? And they prospered off of that. Now, we are going to have the kingdom by ourselves, to ourselves. Other than having handmaids and servants of other nations, other than that, ain't no salvation for them, right? You're going to get this work, right? Whips and chains, free labor for the other nations in the kingdom. Other than that, you're done. Psalm 37 verse 14. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such as be of upright conversation. So the Israelites are of upright conversation. Again, according to Psalm 147, we're the only ones that receive the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So we're the ones of upright conversation. We're also the poor and needy, right? We're not the wicked drawing out swords and bending our bows to cast down, people of other nations. They're doing that to us, right? As long as we've went astray from the law, statutes, and commandments, as long as the Most High wasn't with us, we have been at the bottom of society, right? In the four corners of the earth. And these people went above and beyond when it comes to doing wrong by us. And the Most High got something for them, for that. All right. Jeremiah 10 and 16. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 16. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Right? So we understand that Israel is the former of all things. Israel was with the Most High in the beginning when the world was created. As to why he was able to say, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you, right? And this former of all things is twofold, right? Like, first of all, we are the salt of the earth, right? We do everything better than everybody, right? That's first and foremost, right? We are also, right, we don't get our credit for the things that we invented on this planet. But there are multiple things that have been invented by the children of Israel that helps keep the world's civilization going. And, the world wouldn't be as civilized as it is in what you call civilization if it was not for the children of Israel and our inventions, right?